Are you ready to explore the unknown? Dive into the world of the strange, mysterious, and unexplained with Eerie Expeditions magazine. Each issue is packed with spine-tingling tales, cutting-edge paranormal investigations, and exclusive insights into hauntings, cryptids, UFOs, and more. Whether you're a seasoned investigator or just love a good ghost story, Eerie Expeditions magazine has something for you. Join our growing community of truth seekers and adventure lovers. Subscribe today at EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com and unlock the secrets of the supernatural. Are you ready? That's EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com, where the extraordinary is just a click away. Dare to discover.
Welcome to the Gateway, broadcasting live from United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM, New Orleans. I'm your host this evening, C.L. Thomas. Tonight I'm talking with Joe Godino, Rob Gilman, and Jessica Hunt, owners of the S.K. Pierce Mansion. Get ready for this, guys. It's going to be a really fun discussion. We're going to talk about the haunted history of their Victorian mansion. But before we get into that, you've been listening to Sean Kelly with Into the Night right here on United Public Radio, 107.7 FM. I hope everyone is doing well. It's currently 107 degrees here in the valley. It's already 107. I think last week I told you guys it was 83 degrees, so heated up pretty quick, didn't it? I went for a light jog earlier, not realizing just how hot it was outside earlier today, and oh my goodness, I just about had a stroke. But I'm recovered and I'm here to give you the show. 2 nights ago, I spent the night in Goldfield, Nevada for a private investigation and possibly my last one because as you all know, I'm relocating out of Las Vegas. So Goldfield's no longer going to be my backyard anymore. I'm really sad about it, but truthfully, you know, when you go into a place and the spirits start recognizing who you are and calling you by name on equipment and stuff like that, I always said, it's probably time to say goodbye. I have this thing about, I'm only meant to visit a place for a short time and to interact for a short time and just kind of learn their history, but I don't actually want to become a part of that story of that location, if you know what I mean. Does anyone else out there feel like this? I know that for me it's a thing, but a lot of people, they own haunted locations and they kind of become a part of that story of that location. So tonight's guests, I have 3 guests on and we're going to talk about the S.K. Mansion. Let me get them on here. Did I get everybody? Hold on a minute. Is that everybody? It's everybody. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So to start us off, I know we just talked for like an hour, so it feels like, we're going right into that conversation, but we got to start all over again. So tell me about yourselves and how you got into owning the SK Mansion, and then we'll get into what the SK Mansion is.
Well, you see, this is all Rob's fault.
No, it is not. This is John's fault.
This is not my fault at all. So we are part of the city where the mansion is located. Rob grew up in Gardner, Massachusetts. We own a couple multifamilies in the town. And one day we were painting one of our units and taking out the trash and doing all the work to the unit. Because we do all that ourselves. We only own a couple. We're a mom and pop shop on the pop. And we went out to lunch, and I told Rob, hey, by the way, we have a meeting to view the S.K. Pierce Mansion. And he said, no, we don't. And I said, well, we're in my truck. You can't get out. Yes, we do.
We had a lot of work to do.
We went, met the real estate agent. And within a few minutes, Rob looked at me and said, "I effing hate you." And the real estate agent looked at me and said, "What does that mean?" And I said, "Don't worry, that just means we're buying the house." So we bought it because it's a very prominent historical feature of that city that we do a lot of work in and that we really appreciate. We wanted to be able to use the house to bring more attention to the city of Gardner and help keep the city going.
So you didn't buy the house solely on the fact that it was haunted?
That's why we went to it. We bought it for the paranormal history. We bought it for the general history of the mansion, the architecture of the mansion, for what we could help do for the city with the mansion, to open it to more people to come experience what happens in the mansion. So the paranormal aspect of the house was obviously a huge draw. It was the main draw, right? Like we wouldn't have gone and seen it or bought it if it was just a cool Victorian house. But it wasn't necessarily the only draw.
Got it. So what about this house that drew you to it to begin with, other than it is a really gorgeous looking Victorian mansion?
So I grew up in Gardner, and I knew of the house. I had never been there. And truthfully, John and I we're not typical paranormal investigators and all that. We just, we watched Ghost Hunters growing up. A couple other shows here and there. And we it was fascinating. It was neat to watch. That's it. That was the extent of it. But I knew of the house. And again, I didn't want we had a lot of work to do, but I agreed to go and we were, I just,
Did you agree to go?
Well, all right. I was kidnapped, but that's fine. So we get in there, and I just the beauty of this house. I had never been there, and I'm like, wow, I've lived, a few miles away from this place for, a long time. I mean, I've since been, growing up. It's been years and years and years since. But and I just the architecture, it's a Freemason house, so there's a lot of really cool, ornate, I don't even know what to call it. It's just really cool. It just looked really cool. I was like, yeah, I think we're going to buy this house. And that's why I cursed at John, because,
Listen, one of us has to have the good ideas and the other one just has to go along with it.
And Jess is just along for the ride.
Jess came with the house. Marion
Yeah,
and Jess and some of the other tour guys who have been awesome. We'd be lost without Jess and Marion. So, because we joke we're making this stuff up as we go, because and for good or bad, sometimes it's entertaining.
Yeah,
Jess and Marion.
Our good fortune is Jess and Marion's misfortune.
Yeah, pretty much.
So who was S.K. Pierce?
S.K. Pierce, so Gardner, Massachusetts is known as both the chair and furniture capital, most of the chair capital of the world at the time, 1800s. It was a large manufacturing hub for furniture. That's how everyone in the area made their money. S.K. was a furniture manufacturer, again, predominantly a chair manufacturer. He did manufacture some other things. And that's how he made his fortune in the area, which again at the time was a very, very large fortune. His factory on West Broadway Street, which still stands and operates today as Standard Chair of Gardner. He bought the plot of land, which had a house on it. He moved the house 2 doors down, and that house is still there today, and then built the mansion. He built the mansion in such a way where he could always see his house, where his factory. He could always go to his factory, and he even built a tunnel underneath West Broadway, leading from the mansion to the factory, so he could go there underneath the street.
Oh, interesting. Does that tunnel still exist?
The opening does. The middle of the tunnel was caved in when they put in water and sewer into the street.
Okay, interesting. Now, Jess, you're the tour guide of this place.
One of them, yes.
One of them. Have you had personal experiences in the house? And how long have you worked in the house?
I've been there for about 3 years, and I've seen and heard a bunch of stuff. One of which I saw a floating head in the billiards room. so an apparition of William's head. And then I also saw something in the billiards closet, which pretty much stopped me in my tracks.
It's on video.
It's on video.
I watched it in person. It was actually kind of freaky because I've watched a million of her tours, and her like the other tour guides, they're very seamless because they do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just stopped talking dead in her tracks, and I thought something was wrong.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what the hell happened. She told us about it afterwards, and we understood. But at the time, I was like, "What? Like, she have a medical condition? Like what?" Because she just stopped.
Gosh.
I mean, I brought everyone downstairs when everyone left the house. I just went back up there.
Yeah, she does that.
It's just surprising when you open a door and there's a thing on the other side.
Now, is this, I know we talked a little bit before the show. Is this the area where there's a portal? You said there's 2 portals in the house.
Yes, one of them is in the billiards room closet.
And where's the other one at?
The main staircase.
Yep.
Do you have any idea what sort of opened those?
The one in the billiards closet was created by trauma itself. With the amount of things that happened in that closet, created that one. The main staircase, I'm not really sure where that came from, but it has grown significant in size over the last few years.
Do you think it's from the investigations that's going on?
Most likely. And now, with the house being open for overnights, you can't really stop, say, Ouija boards or any other method of communication from coming in the house. So that's probably helping the size growth as well.
Interesting. John, you look like you were going to say something.
No, sorry.
Some of the history that you said about the house just previously, you mentioned there's a long history with this house, especially with, like you mentioned, trauma and things like that. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about some of the things that happened historically in the home that could account for some of the hauntings?
Right off the bat, a couple weeks after the home was finished, his first wife, Susan, passed of an infection that, of course, the penicillin would have fixed today. And so she only got to enjoy it for a couple weeks. And she died and we call it the Red Room. It's on the 2nd floor, and it's where she stayed and died and passed. And then his second wife, Ellen, lived years there, but also passed in that room. And that room, actually, a lot of women will go in there and just, they get affected by it, or we've seen weird stuff happen there. But right off the bat, that's a couple of things that have happened. We go ahead, John.
SK died in the master bedroom. The Red Room at least 4 or 5 times now, and I will always remember it because I'm always the one on my knees trying to pick it up. Women's jewelry falls apart. Necklaces and bracelets will fall apart in that room, and I'm always under the bed trying to get it back for them. So SK passed away in his main bedroom. Ano Sari was a World War II veteran who lived in the house in the 60s when it was a boarding house when they were trying to pay the bills. He was an auto mechanic, and he came home one day covered in gasoline and motor oil, had a few drinks, lit a cigarette, fell asleep, and he burned to death in that room, which is now called the Ano Sari Suite. So in that room, we have a shadow box with some burnt wood and a burnt nail that was reclaimed after the fire, along with his death certificate, which shows smoke inhalation and 3rd-degree burns as his cause of death. That room, people leave nips and cigarettes in there as offerings to him. Rachel Pierce, who was SK's granddaughter, passed away when she was 2 years old. And there was also another young lady who committed suicide on the 3rd floor back when it was a boarding house in the 60s. On top of that, there's been an immense amount of wakes through the house back in the 1800s. So there weren't really funeral homes the way there are today. So the ladies' parlor was used to wake bodies. So there's a lot of bodies through the house in that way. And then to this day, a lot of the entire SK Pierce family, along with some other people like servants, are known to inhabit the house. There's also the bones in the basement, which were never confirmed who they were, but through investigation, psychics, and mediums, we believe it to be one of the servants who was
Can you talk about the bones that were found?
Yeah. So in 2010, Edwin and Lillian were living in the house. Lillian, through some means of possession, spent 3 days kind of under a trance in the house. And one of the things that happened was she went down to the basement while Edwin worked from home. He was some type of insurance agent and worked out of S.K. Pierce's office. Worked out of Rachel's room.
Yeah.
And Lillian went down to the basement and started, at the time, it was a dirt floor basement, just like many houses from the 1800s. And she started digging into the basement on her hands and knees with just her hands. And she ended up finding a bone next to it's not the kiln. I keep wanting to say kiln. I know it's not a kiln. It's a fire pot where they used to boil. And
No, it's the kiln.
Oh, it's a kiln. Sorry.
It's a kiln that they used to boil water. There was like a secondary kitchen down there that's since been removed. And she found a bone. Edwin took it to the local hospital that's in Gardner, and they identified it as a human pelvic bone. The Gardner Police Department took it, and that's all we really know about it. Through investigations and psychics and mediums, we believe what happened was one of the servants, Sarah, who was one of the main servants, we have a record of her existing. We have records of her being pregnant, and then we have no records at all. She kind of disappears. So through the investigations and through the genealogy of the house, which I have right here and is rather extensive, and half of which is in Old English cursive, which I don't possess the education level to understand. Rob thought he did until he tried to read it and realized he didn't either.
Okay, first of all, it was fairly messy writing. Let's start there.
Okay, it was sloppy writing. Yeah, that's what it was. We think it may be her. We don't say that definitively because we don't have a genealogy to prove it. We just know that she existed, she was pregnant, and then bones were found in the basement, and the investigations tell us it may be her.
Do you have any suspects of who the father may have been?
I do. I think it was Frank. I think that's a very natural. So Frank was the eldest son of SK. He was Susan's son. When SK passed, he left the entire estate and all his fortune to Ellen, his second wife, which in the late 1800s, when he passed, I believe it was 1887, was a rather controversial step to leave a woman that much wealth and that much of a estate. So Frank felt it should be his. Again, I have the court documents right here that I've been able to read through at a Worcester County court where he fought Ellen for the property. Those I can actually kind of read. And when it comes to negative energy inside the house, it usually ends up being Frank. And the investigations tend to lean that way. So I believe it's Frank. I don't know if Jess has a different opinion. Her opinion probably matters more than mine.
No, it's Frank. It's Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Frank is one of the spirits that you mentioned in the interview earlier. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the different spirits in the house. There's quite a bit of them.
Yes.
Yep.
So do you want to kind of weigh in on who you think is occupying the place and who they were in life?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Give me a shot at one of
SKD
these.
was there. Oh, sorry, Rob. Do you think you can name them all? I actually kind of want to watch this. Go ahead.
No. I said one of them. Stanley.
No, you know all.
Stanley in the basement. So I think it was during the time when Edwin and Lillian owned it, and they were no longer living there. Marion, who can't be with us tonight, but she's been in the house for years and years and years. She's our caretaker there too. She helped them by having folks come in and make a little money to help pay for the house at the time because they weren't living there, and so. And I think somebody in Jess, you're probably gonna correct 9 things I say, but don't let me go too far off the railroad tracks here. But
Go ahead, say her name.
so there was an actress there.
What's her name?
Crap. Hang on. I forget. Anyway.
Nessa Hushkins. Go ahead.
Thank you. So the theory is, and listen, I'm not dropping names. The theory is somebody was down there. We have a no Ouija board policy. It's been that way for a while, and I think they did too back then as well. But they were using the Ouija board. It wasn't, I think somebody freaked out, walked away from it. It wasn't properly closed. And now we have Stanley, who there's a photo of, who looks like some weird, I don't know.
Stanley's a tunnel worker who died in a tunnel collapse in Gardner. There's a lot of tunnels in the area. So Stanley's in the basement. He was a tunnel worker that was brought in by a Ouija board while Netflix was filming a series with that actress. Also down there is David. He's the groundskeeper. He used to keep the house warm, keep the garden trimmed, keep everything running on the outside. So they generally are contained in the basement. The rest of them, S.K. Pierce himself is there. His entire family's there. Ellen and Susan. Susan died from bacterial infection. Ellen died of cancer. They both passed away in the Red Room. S.K. died in his master bedroom. From there, Frank, his eldest son, who is Susan's only son, is in there. Edward and Stuart are Ellen's kids with S.K. They're both in there. Rachel Pierce died in the house when she was 2. She's in there. Maddie was the nanny for Rachel and the other children. She's in there. On top of that, we have Ano Sari, who burned to death in his bedroom. We have Sarah and Susan, the head servants upstairs. We have William. William was the head servant directly answerable to SK. I call him SK's bag man. He did anything and everything SK asked him to do.
I call him Mr. Belvedere.
He calls him Mr. Belvedere because he can never remember his name. And then there's Bridget. I don't actually know anything about Bridget. I don't think we've ever confirmed who she is. We have no app. Everyone I just mentioned, we have documentation on, minus Stanley. And then maybe Gordon, who's also an area child who died by drowning in the area, who made it into the house.
And there's a cat.
And there's a cat.
And that's the little boy that the neighbors would see in the window.
Yeah, and there's a picture. There's a picture on our social media where you can see. It's the outside of the house. You can see a door in the bottom right-hand corner. That's in the woman's parlor. And there's a small male child up in the top left who would have been in William's room at the time. So they're on the first floor. William's room is on the third floor. And is it possible a small child made it out of the door? I guess anything's possible. Our tours are run pretty tight, and I think a parent would notice that their small child ran up 3 flights of stairs. So
we don't. I think
we can't say for sure there were people in the house in the photo, but it doesn't make sense why that small child was up there in the photo. And then Gordon or Rachel are responsible for we leave a ball on the stairs, and we have videos of the ball coming off the stairs while no one's there. I have one video of it happening with people there, which is kind of funny because it almost exclusively happens with no one in the mansion. There's a couple of videos of me making an idiot out of myself where I put the ball on the steps and I jump up and down and blow on it and try and get the ball to move, and I can't get it to move, which is funny because as a random funny offset story, me and Rob as adults never post on social media in our adults' life. We didn't know anything about it. We took over this house. We started trying to build the social media, having no idea what we're doing. And somehow, some way, my dumbass jumping up on a stairwell, shaking a camera because I'm hefty, somehow got 19 million views on TikTok. And now I'm accidentally, mildly TikTok famous, which is horrific.
Horrific.
But yeah, they're the ones who kicked the ball down the stairs. I've posted a few times. We try not to overpost it because at some point it just becomes, all right, yeah, the ball goes down the stairs. But that's kind of one of the weirdest things for me because I've tried like hell to get that ball to move. And I can't.
Deflate it a little bit so it's not like big and tight and all that.
Kimberly says, Bridget is the nasty possession energy, isn't it? You can message me with the answer if you want.
Nope, the answer is no.
No, that's not her.
With all of these, it kind of sounds like an episode from American Horror Story. Have you seen that show where you have like all of these spirits that occupy this old mansion and they can't leave and they all have to learn how to live with each other, and each one of their stories kind of comes out?
What's funny is the number one comment we got on all the social media from me jumping up and down the stairs, and then the corresponding video of the ball rolling down the stairs, is a bunch of movie references, and the number one movie or show referenced is American Horror Story.
It sounds like it though. I mean, it's like a whole script for an entire season of this going on at this mansion.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to American Horror Story if the producers are watching.
Yeah, hey, if you want to come and
episode.
film in the mansion, come on over.
Yeah, you can come film American Horror Story in the mansion. I'm happy to have you.
No,
We get a lot of
you did mention, and I do have a question about, do these different spirits, do they all know that they are there? Like, do they interact with each other, or do they come through? Are they in different like time zones or time frames?
Yes.
No, they all know that they're there. For a good example, Susan and Ellen bicker a lot when they're in the house together. A lot of the times, SK will sit back and just kind of watch it happen. I don't know if he thinks it's funny, but they all know. Gordon and Rachel interact with each other, and they all know that they're on the other side.
Do they? It's interesting. So do their stories kind of come out? I know in the research it does, but like for instance, the guy who ended up lighting himself on fire, does that room ever smell like fire or anything like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It also smells like cigarette smoke in there.
Yep.
It's really interesting.
And there have been a couple. We just started doing overnight adventures there, so people could spend the night. And I want to say somebody woke up, sweating, screaming. They have, there's constant stories about people feeling burning sensations, having trouble breathing, things like that in that room. It's similar to like the Red Room, where a lot of women have trouble when they go in there. They feel lightheaded or affected more, so.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Somebody left a vape pen as an offering to Ain't Sorry. And one of the tour guides asked them why, and they said he'll never light himself on fire with a vape pen. It's still in there. There's a bunch of nips and whiskey bottles and cigarettes, and there's a vape pen. They said he won't light himself on fire with a vape pen. I was like, sure,
we could open a liquor store with the amount of nips that are in there. Yeah, because I don't think anybody dares to actually drink them.
What do you do with them? I'm not taking the offerings out of the haunted house.
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that.
One
karma.
person. I'm sure they're not watching this, but shout out Booze, Brews, and Barbecue. I posted a video saying I'm not removing the offerings from the haunted house, and John commented saying, "Was I not supposed to drink that?" And there's a video of him drinking a nip that he posted off of Ano's dresser.
He's a little off anyway.
Hey man, let me know if anything goes wrong with that, so I know whether it's safe to remove those or not.
So here's the $1 million question. Why do you think they all stay there? Can they leave at will, or are they stuck there? Like, do they just love that place and that's why they're there?
For the leaving part, I know they've also done investigations in the factory across the street, which is what SK owned, and he's been spoken to over there.
Okay.
Same with Sorry, he's been spoken to. We have an old time South Gardner hotel across the street that he's been communicated over there. So they do move around between the places, and they've been asked many times by a lot of different mediums if they want help crossing over, and they always say no. They're fine exactly where they are.
So just hang out.
Everyone in that house has a strong connection to that house.
That's interesting. So in the history that you told me previously, you mentioned the Masons doing rituals there, or the house was a place that
it was a Mason's lodge.
Okay.
We're not sure if there were rituals or anything, but it was a Mason's, yeah.
Do you think
there's Mason art? Sorry, go ahead.
Do you think that has anything to do with it? Because I know like a lot of locations that have had that have been used by the Masons, they seem in their ritual work and things that they do, they open certain doors for not so much the supernatural intentionally, but just because of what they do, or so I heard.
I've heard of things as well. I wouldn't know the answer to that. I think that I guess that's possible because I know that it was a lodge, for a long time.
There's woodwork and markings all over the house. We know we have documentation and the woodworking and everything. We know it was a Freemasons lodge. We know it was a meeting point for the Order of the Eastern Stars, which is the female equivalent and connected to the Freemasons. But anything past that, we don't really know what they did there.
Yeah.
We know they were there. We know that they had a large presence in the house. But in terms of any other history associated with the Freemasons, we're not entirely sure, unless Jess has some examples from investigations.
So we just had a team come in with 2 Masons, and their YouTube is going to come out pretty soon. And she said that the Masons had a really good evidence that came across from them.
Oh, cool.
So look forward to actually watching those videos of them.
I'll have to make sure I watch that too.
Yeah.
Perceived paranormal, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's perceived paranormal?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also been a lot of other famous people there that have spent time there too. I know when Calvin Coolidge was a senator, he spent a lot of time there. Betty Davis, Minnesota Fats, Norman Rockwell. Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody. Oh, P.T. Barnum.
P.T. Barnum.
Yep. So,
P.T. Barnum stayed there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we have
there's
pictures
right
of all
there.
them in the parlor.
Yeah. Yep. So a lot of cool people have spent time there. Yep.
P.T. Barnum, that's your issue right there. That's why it's haunted.
Probably.
I did all kind of weird stuff.
Did he?
Yeah, supposedly.
Oh, John. John and I have to bone up on our.
Paranormal history.
We're making this stuff up as we go along. I'm telling you, but it's been a blast.
So now you have this house and you open it up to tours. Tell people how they can actually stay there. Like if I want to come spend the weekend and do an investigation, what do I do?
So there's a couple different options. You can split into 2 categories. We have private and public, right? So from a private standpoint, you can rent out the house for the night. You get from 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. It's $1,200 for 10 people. If you want more than 10, it starts to go up from there. We price it in such a way that smaller groups could still come. But I mean, if you want to have a 20-person party, you're going to have to pay a little bit more. But we want smaller paranormal groups to be able to come in and still investigate if they had, 6 to 10 people. So it's like $120 each. If you want, you can rent out the house for $90 a person from 6 p.m. to midnight. And during that, there's a staff member on site. The overnights, you can elect to have a staff member on site. You just pay the equivalent of what we pay them to stay. And they can stay there with you, help investigate, because we do have people who come in who aren't well experienced, what they're doing. We have equipment that we can provide people that's inside the mansion. And then the guides also have some higher end equipment that they can bring that we got from Horn Paranormal.
Oh yeah, they're great, aren't they?
Oh, they're
my gosh.
We have I have a collection from Horn Paranormal. So that's a sidetrack. That's Booze and Barbecue. Little beer can REM pod, and then this. So when they came in, they're like, we can make a REM pod out of something here, and they made. So this is Ellen Pierce's safe. That's a safe they couldn't move when they tried to sell it, and it was too heavy. So it opens up with the SK.
Oh, isn't that neat?
So that's a REM pod they made for us. And then we have an XLS camera they made for us. And we have a spirit box coming from them. So we have some of those equipment in the house we can give to people to use. All of our tour guides are experienced investigators. They can come in and help people investigate the mansion. So those are the private options. But we also wanted a way for people to come in and do that if they don't have a large group or don't have the money to rent out a 9,500 square foot mansion, right?
Right.
So we also offer public options. So we offer public investigations and public overnights where there's a staff member on site the entire time helping you investigate. You can go off on your own or you can stick with our investigator. And it's a lot cheaper to do. If it's a paranormal investigation, it's only for the 3 to 6 hours. 3 hours are cheaper, 6 hours for a little bit longer. And they'll help you investigate the house. For the overnight, they'll let you invest. They'll have you investigate for as long as you want. We ask you to keep your room open until 11 o'clock or midnight. And then after that, if you want to go to bed, you can close your door. And then that room is now off limits. And our staff member is up with you the entire time. Some people investigate right up till 9 a.m. Some people decide to go to bed pretty early. But that's a way where you can buy a ticket from 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. without having to rent out the entire house, especially if you're not sure what you're doing. Those are a little bit more infrequent. We post them usually about once a month with a month or two heads up. It depends on how much they fill up. It also kind of depends on the time of year. Obviously, they fill up more during the October time frame. Right now, they don't fill up as much. So if you book one, you may not be there with that many people, depending on what month you book it in. What we really wanted to focus on was keeping the house as accessible as possible. We bought it with the intent of expanding the amount of ways you can come into the house without having to spend a bunch of money. So you can still come take a tour for an hour and a half. You can come in and do a 3-hour investigation for short money. You can come in and do a little bit longer investigation during a public. You can rent it out for your own private. If you have a team, you can rent it out for an overnight. We've had people rent out the house with just 2 people to spend the night. It's completely up to them.
We had one try to spend the night alone.
We just had a solo. We just had a solo.
Yeah. So
he stayed the whole night.
yeah. I remember.
We had one solo. They had never investigated before. They're supposed to come with somebody else, but due to unforeseen circumstances, they couldn't. They decided to still come themselves. They're rather inexperienced. And within an hour or two, Jess received a phone call to come let her out.
Really?
By let her out, we don't lock people in there.
No, we don't lock. Yeah, we asked them to call us.
She didn't want to leave the house open. Yeah.
Yeah.
You locked her in there?
No.
We lock them in and they call us to let them out.
People ask us, they're like, can we leave? I'm like, I didn't lock you in. I asked that you call us so we can lock the door behind you when people try and walking off the street. But one thing we try and remind people is that we're not really the starting point. We're more of the finish line. If you come to us looking for a paranormal experience, you're gonna get a lot of paranormal experience. And the house ebbs and flows like anything else, right? There are people. So some nights they're louder than others. Some nights are crazy. Some nights are more quiet. But if you start off with us, I suggest you start off with someone either who knows what they're doing or have one of our staff members with you. We've had more amateur teams come in, which is usually okay when they're with a group. But the smaller teams, the more inexperienced teams find the house to be a lot for their first time.
That's interesting. Are you guys ever worried that some of the trauma and history of the house can have negative effects on people? And has it?
Yeah.
I think I know that there have been people while they're in the house. I mean, we talked about Edwin and Lillian. Lillian had an issue, and as soon as she got out of the house, bless you, everything seemed better. Actually, when Booze, Brews, and Barbecue came, Ty was having some issues. Actually, he got some kitchen utensils sort of tossed towards him.
Ty doesn't want to come back.
Yeah, he hates our house.
Really?
You know what? The cameraman said to us on the last day we were all hanging out in Salem. He goes, yeah, I've been to all these places. I have no problems with that. He goes, I was actually a little freaked out when I was at your place. He's like, I don't get that way. But
Ty is scared.
Ty came down to the basement and he was a little freaked out. And I think Marion actually, yeah, I think it was Marion or somebody was like,
it was Marion, yeah.
Yeah, let's get him outside for some air and I mean, he was fine, but those guys were, Yeah.
They'll
have that
come
one on
back,
our,
but I think they have
on our
to
social
honk
media.
Ty and have him come kicking and screaming. The house was a lot for him, but I mean, listen, the house can be a lot. As long as you come in knowing the house can be a lot, and you may catch a quiet night, right? Like I'm not boisterous every night. No one is, and sometimes they quiet down. Sometimes they're a lot. But you have to come in knowing that they could be a lot.
Yeah.
So you're probably not going to get like a mild amount of activity when you come to the house. You're probably going to get an experience, and if you're not ready for that, it can be overwhelming.
Kimberly says that he's talking about getting a hotel room next time he comes there.
He's not allowed to, Kim. He's getting locked in the basement.
Oh, is that Kim Horn?
Yeah, that's Kim.
Hi,
I
Kim.
saw her pop up. We're relying on Kim to lock him into the basement.
Actually, the house attacked their rental car while they were there too.
Yeah. The house attacked their rental car.
Like a tree or something fell on it?
No, a block of ice.
It spontaneously combusted. That's what happened.
Yeah. They came during a blizzard. So they were going to come for a day, and then it was 2 days, and it turned into 3 days really quickly. It was one of the days we had like a 24-inch snowstorm come in. And Ty was actually the one who got delayed the longest. John spent the first night there by himself. And he was cool with it. I'm pretty sure he started drinking in the basement around 8 a.m. But, which is not something we condone or suggest, but they are booze, brews, and barbecue, so they have their niche. But he spent the first night in the house. Barry showed up the next day, so it was John and Barry, and then I think Ty showed up later that night and ended up
he did, yes,
in the house.
He
so
actually
Barry
missed
showed
the
up that
barbecue
morning.
guy.
Ty showed up a little bit later. And we went over there and hung out with them a bunch during that, and they were great. It was an awesome experience. But,
no, they're good.
Yeah, I
good
think
folks.
Ty needs some coaxing to come back.
So let me ask you this. You guys have been around the house for a little under a year now, right?
Yeah, 8 months.
So have you gotten to know the spirits? And Jess, it might be different for you. Are they calling you by name or anything yet?
Shut up, Rob.
So a couple
we both
times,
got it, but he got it first, and now I have to hear about it.
I did. So we're at John and I, and again, we're just, so we're going through, and it was the first overnight we had, the first public overnight. And John and I were there. We're like, oh, let's, trying this thing out. And, I think this was like the first time I ever ghost hunted. And Jess was in there, and she had her phone on, or an EVP session going. And she said, let's first start with everybody just introduce themselves, and a few people would, before me, maybe 5 or 6. And then it was me, and I said, hi, my name's Rob. I work here, blah, blah, blah. And we continued on, and everybody did their thing. And Jess later showed me that, when I introduced myself, I said, hi, my name is Rob. And just before I said much more, you hear, hi, Rob. And it was actually pretty clear. I was like, oh my gosh.
Just
so
to be
anyway,
clear, later on, I got an EVP that said John bought the house, but nobody.
Yes.
So even the ghosts know it's my fault.
Yes. And then I know Cody and Satori. They've come a couple times with the haunted objects and stuff, and they've had a couple of sessions where they'll talk to some of the ghosts that, and they play I don't call it a game, but they ask them questions, and they go through the alphabet, and twice they claim it was Ellen. I forget how we knew that. I think we asked, spelled my name out. So I hope that's not a bad thing, but it is what it is. I tend to be a bit more of a chicken than John, but I also came into it a bit more of a believer than John. John was more of the skeptic. So.
And Jess, what about you?
Oh, God. Her opinion of us.
So, I mean, we've gotten a lot of information from EVPs is really the big thing. And we've gotten their names a bunch of times. Marion's name is said often, very often. And we had a group going on upstairs, and they came down. The group came downstairs, and they're like, "Are you Jess?" And I was like, yeah, yes, I am. And they're like, "Yeah, the spirits are looking for you. Can you come upstairs?" And I was like, "Okay." So yeah, no, they definitely know everyone's name in the house. I mean, we all walk in sometimes and just introduce ourselves every single time. "Hey, it's Jess." I don't know if they do that, but
I know the
I
rule
know.
when I leave.
Yeah, no, we introduce ourselves even when we come in, just saying, "Hey, it's Jess," walking in the door, or whoever it is. I know all the tour guides do that.
John and I feel very comfortable in there too. I mean, we're not we're new to this, but I think we've both mentioned that, with the exception of me a little at the beginning, uh, you know, uh, we feel very comfortable. I feel like I don't know. I feel like they approve of us owning the house. I don't know. We'll see. Time will
My
tell.
favorite moment was when I left Rob in the basement for the first time. I told him I
Well,
had to go upstairs for something, and I left him down there by himself at night. And he
well,
was-
so that was his cruel joke after the Comcast incident. But yes, but I did stay down there. I did not
He
freak
did.
out.
for a full
I mean,
30
I would have
seconds
if
before I returned.
something happened. I would have been a dust trail would have been behind me going up the stairs. But so
Well, you know what happens with American Horror Story? The people involved in the house, they end up staying there. Do you think that'll happen?
we have a clause in our operating agreement, John and I, that if we know we're going to die, we have to die in the house.
Yeah, that's true.
And
No, I'm kidding, right?
He's
Oh, no.
not.
I'm not. John says, "Yeah, if I'm dragging his ass into that house." Oops, sorry. I'm dragging his butt into that house, and
It's just a cruel ploy, so I haunt Rob later.
well, he haunts me in the living, so I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I just need to continue it.
Well, you guys, we are at the bottom of the hour, but I do want to take a minute to mention, you said you had a friend that has a GoFundMe. Did you want to talk about that real quick? So we can
Yeah.
throw something here.
So when the house was purchased in 2015, it was very dilapidated. Ken and Mimi, who are a married couple, they're EMTs working out of the Salem Peabody area. And what they would do is they'd work their 24-hour shifts as medical responders, and then they would spend their off time at the mansion renovating it. So throughout the years from 2015 to around 2022, they renovated the entire house. So anyone that comes into the house, you see how beautiful it is. You see how all the restoration work, it wasn't renovation, so it was restoration. The kitchen's renovated. It's more modern because it was so dilapidated you couldn't really save it. But they spent years and years and years dedicating their lives to restoring the house to what it is now. Ken sadly passed away in 2022 from cancer. A year or two later, Mimi was diagnosed with cancer. Mimi's still involved with the house. She's a tour guide. She's the house psychic. She's a very integral part and connected to the house. She's currently having her own battle with cancer. That can take a toll at times, especially considering she got the diagnosis like a year after her husband passed away from the same disease. So at the time when it happened, they did a GoFundMe to try and pay for her care and pay for her living expenses. And at the time, the house didn't have that big of a following online, and it didn't really have much of an effect. We're trying to jumpstart that to try and get her more support. We offer her as much support as we can, but obviously with the toll it takes, we can only do so much. So we've grown considerably in social media. We inherited a Facebook page of 23,000 followers back in September. We now have over 120,000 between 3 platforms in the last 7 or 8 months. So one of the things we try and do with that platform is, push out support for Mimi. She gives us, we have merchandise in the house. We have these sweatshirts. We have other things. One of the things we have is protection spray that she creates and sells in the house, and all the profits for that go back to her. We're trying to get I don't have a copy of it here, but Ken wrote a book about the genealogy of the house. We're trying to get that republished to try and get there it is. That's the entire history of the house. That's written.
SK, by the way.
That was written with all this.
Oh.
So we're trying to get the publisher to reprint that book Again, just to get all the proceeds over to Mimi. But if you go to our Instagram page, it is a link in the. I'm not a social media guy, even though I run it, which is terrifying. The bio, there's a link to our website and Mimi's GoFundMe.
Okay.
So
Can they find that from your website?
Our website does have a link to the Instagram. I don't think we haven't embedded the link for the GoFundMe on the website, which is actually something we should do now that you say that. I lack the knowledge of how to do that, but I will figure it out.
Jess will do it.
I was like, you mean I'll figure it out? Got it.
All right. So for listeners out there, go to their website and there will be, you can find that GoFundMe.
Yeah, we've posted it to our Facebook and Instagram a few times. Worst case, if you go to our Instagram, it's in the bio. But we're really trying to push hard. We're just trying to cover expenses because obviously that can take a toll. And she dedicated a large portion of her life to restoring an 1800s Victorian mansion. So God only knows what she breathed in while doing that.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that was contributor, but it sounds like it may be.
Yeah.
So she really is a cornerstone of that house. So she deserves, anyone who enjoys the house, she deserves some support for that. So we're just trying to do that.
Well, you guys,
Mimi Watson on GoFundMe.
Thank you guys so much for taking the time and coming on here to talk to me. It's been a fun night.
No, hey, thank you for thinking of us.
Yeah,
we'd love being here. Thank you.
You've been listening to The Gateway, broadcast from the edge of the Mojave where the strange slips into the night, right here on 107.7 FM New Orleans. Thank you all for listening, and until next time.